is be less you. When something is really good, we say that is sick. Another word for good is wicked. That is wicked. The English language is full of hidden spells. This is why we call it spelling, because every word you say is creating torus fields, which is energy and frequency. Frequency is the only thing that can penetrate your body without your consent. You can choose what you put into your body, but you cannot choose what you hear. Every frequency you listen to and produce has an effect on your cells and electromagnetic field. When this field becomes destroyed, your body becomes destroyed, because energy and frequency comes before physical matter. It is the creator of physical matter. English is the most spoken language in the world. They want everyone to speak it because it's filled with double meaning words which cast hidden spells. Mourning is the feeling you feel when someone has died. Why do you think the Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue?
This is fucking spooky. Have you heard of the Kobe Bryant conspiracy theory? Okay, you're gonna add all four of these numbers and then tell me what you get. If you did the math right, you would have gotten 8,024. Kobe's jersey numbers were 8 and 24. And if you take these numbers and add each number individually, you're gonna come up with the number 41. Kobe Bryant was 41 years old at the moment of his death. This is so fucking crazy. So they died on January 26th. Now, if you add those numbers individually, you get the number 9. And there were 9 people that died in the helicopter crash. Now, this last part had me spooked. So the helicopter departed at 9:06 in the morning. And at 9:47, they reported the crash. If you take 9:47 minus 9:06, you get 41. The helicopter crashed within 41 minutes of departing. Kobe Bryant was 41 years old at the time of death. Was there a conspiracy behind Kobe Bryant's death? Was it a ritual from the Illuminati? There's all these crazy theories out there. All this math and numerology is giving me a fucking headache.
I have to say, you guys go and research, look into Gematria and understand how the elites do their things. They really do their things by the numbers. So if you really know what the numbers mean in Gematria, you can know what is going on.
Click the plus sign and let me know what you think.
The thing happened yesterday, and the Drake Bell thing. Ryan has been dropping a ton of cryptic tweets on Twitter, even hinting at an earthquake coming. It is all alleged, all speculation. So this is real. I screenshotted it myself from his profile about an hour ago, and he says June 6th, earthquake bad, all capital BAD. Don't forget we have that giant X eclipse coming in April. Also, the giant Xing out of America eclipse is actually pinpointed on a fault line. And a few minutes after the first bad earthquake tweet, he put out, earthquake will strike LA, destroy Hollywood and Vegas, aka Sin City. And after that, he literally says they actually have the files of Jesus, the Ark of the Covenant, the giants, the aliens, files and everything. They are the ones that let me in. They played themselves. Ryan, I don't know you, but I think I like you. Now, I can't show what's behind my head, but he's also calling out the Catholic Church. Then he tweeted, sounding the trumpets, those who had an ear to understand, one of them were sounded off in 2021 early. Then around the same time, he says how slick I was going in and coming out with the files. And then he said, slowly you guys will understand who I actually am. Then a little bit before that, he says, it just keeps rolling in and y'all don't have to believe they took me here, but I don't have to prove anything to you. You aren't the one having their whole family threatened, and then follow it right by, I love God, my kids, I love Jesus, I'm healthy, I don't have any medical issues for the record. Oh, and one of the craziest ones, I forgot to save it, but I saw a screenshot where Ryan Garcia...
You know what happens if you pour honey over onions. Chances are your grandparents knew very well. They might have even made this remedy as it was common knowledge 70 years ago. The honey will begin to ferment and extract the onion's anti-inflammatory substances. Onions also contain allicin, a powerful natural antibiotic that is effective against throat and lung infections. Leave the jar on your kitchen counter. In about 12 hours, your medicinal syrup will be ready. You should make it at the first sign of a cold or flu, or if you're dealing with a stubborn cough. I'm sure you'll have no trouble getting a hold of the 2 ingredients. Take it by the teaspoon until symptoms subside. Onion syrup was just one of the home remedies that offered relief to our grandparents in the past. One day we might need these lost remedies again. Click below if you want to find over 100 other recipes like this one. What happens if you mix honey with garlic? First thing you should do if you suspect you're having a heart attack or stroke. What happens if you take expired medication? The only 4 antibiotics you should stockpile. What's the best natural painkiller? It probably grows in your backyard. The 1-minute stretch that relieves most neck and back pain. What happens if you boil a banana? And so much more medical advice that might save your life one day.
Why did the
I have to say that these old medicinal, tricks about using herbs and plants is really lost knowledge. Nowadays, you go to the chemist, and our grandparents didn't used to go to the chemist. They just used to go to the backyard, and they would treat whatever ailment they have. So we need to get back this lost knowledge.
America once looked like ancient Greece, and why was it all destroyed? Why were cities entirely covered in several feet of mud? Was there a recent flood? And why does this mountain look like a person? We are fully investigating the historical nonsense we've been force-fed. We want to know who really built these cathedrals, because if those structures were built with hammers and chisels, it's time we go back to hammers and chisels. We all know people before the 19th century of horse and buggy could knock out this construction in just a few weeks. They chiseled away a stone and marble to create these palaces that last forever, unlike anything we build today. Some schooling and boom, you and your jack-of-all-trade pals got the skills to handcraft French Renaissance buildings. And just look at this, people of horses and wagons roaming these dirt streets. How could they be so technologically advanced they still have dirt roads? Would the roads not be the first step of the construction process? Alright, I hate to break it to you, but the historical narrative is a lie. We did not construct these buildings were already here. These are all from a much more advanced past civilization. Once you get it, you don't go back to not getting it. You can see it all very clearly in nearly every major city in the world. Once you know the truth, you can't go back.
You will never catch me on a Boeing airplane ever again. Let me tell you why. This is John Barnett. He worked at Boeing for 32 years, but after retiring in 2017, he became their biggest whistleblower, a threat to their multi-billion-dollar company, and he says they tried to ruin his life. He was also in a legal battle with Boeing. Last week, he was giving testimony in his case, but on the last day, he didn't show up. He was found in his car in a hotel parking lot, deceased from a self-inflicted wound. This is just the tip of the iceberg. In 2018 and 2019, 2 Boeings crashed minutes after takeoff. Everyone on board was killed. 346 people, both the result of faulty systems. Boeing was almost criminally charged, but the feds gave them a deal, $2.5 billion to settle. Boeing said, okay, we'll take safety concerns seriously, but then a door flies off a brand new Boeing in January of this year. Fortunately, 2 people missed their flight or they might have been sucked out of the plane. 4 key bolts securing the door were not properly fitted. A leaked video shows Boeing employees being asked if they would ride on the planes that they're literally building, and 10 out of the 15 said no. The DOJ is investigating again. The FAA did audits of their facilities. Boeing failed 33 of the 89 times. This is exactly what John Barnett was warning us about before he unalived himself.
That Boeing 737 MAX has to have an issue. I think, starting from when the Ethiopian Airlines plane went down, was still a 737 MAX. I think those planes were just not built well. And people have to look into that issue. Should refuse to fly on that plane until they fix their issues.
New era we are.
Okay. Did the Aztecs build this?
No,
They did not build this.
no, the Aztecs, they found it.
They found it.
600 years later.
Who built this?
This is a good question. Nobody knows exactly, but 80% the experts, they mentioned the Quiculcas guys. It was another culture. So Olmecs, the oldest, the mother's culture, the people in Mexico, Aztecs, Mayas, Toltecs, Zapotecs, and many more, they believe it, that Olmecs was the number one and was the
Olmecs?
that is in the coast, in Veracruz and
It's a native culture.
Yawa koresa hendak kayu này ungu juga was dah yawa.
It's the strange scene of American nationalist President Donald J. Trump seated with the aging globalist cabal of past presidents and politicians. It was awkward. But there was something else odd going on. It was noticed that several of the globalist political players received an unexpected letter inside of their program. Hillary Clinton was the only one who kept her poker face when looking at the mysterious letter. Former Vice President Joe Biden appeared to be distressed when his wife found his. Laura Bush had a look of anger and could barely keep from staring at hers. And when she showed it to Jeb Bush, as his deceased father was being carried in front of him, he was distressed enough to take his hand from his heart, and he looked rather troubled by what he saw. The internet is abuzz with what these mystery letters are all about. Many who hope to see justice served in our corrupt American system speculate that this could be a foreboding message to America's traitorous first families. One can only hope. Whatever they were, they certainly appear to be disturbing to those who received them.
Fly over these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because it had the right roof on it. And anyway, since I took office, FEMA's provided text.
A lot going on.
Whatever they were, they certainly appear to be disturbing to those who received them.
Fly over these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because it had the right roof on it.
Guys, I don't know if you hear clearly what you said. That in the midst of like 20 homes which have burned, one home is sitting there because it had the right roof on it. I don't know if you've seen these blue roof conspiracy theories.
And anyway, since I took office, FEMA's provided text.
A lot going on. I mean, look at the fires first and foremost. The fires is one of the largest land grabs in history, in my personal opinion. And the reason why I said this, the deeper I researched into the fires, you see that you have the companies that have these energy weapons. There's one called Raytheon. I'm not saying that they're involved. I'm just saying they happen to be in these areas, offices in these specific areas. And then you have the land developers, which move in immediately after the disaster. And then you have the insurance companies, which only pay a portion of the value of the home to the people that lost everything. And leaving them with only enough money to literally move, not rebuild.
Right.
And so that clears out the way for developers to come in. And then you have, which I found evidence of, which I did a whole show about this, you have these other people, these developers that have already made plans on what they're going to build on these sites before the fires even happen.
Wow.
How is that possible? And before it's even gotten approved by the city or the state. So there's these plans to build and construct new areas around these regions where the fires or other natural disasters have happened before it happened. So that, to me, there's some type of collusion going on. To me, it's a much bigger thing going on than people realize. And I think it's probably what we're seeing with these fires, the largest land grab in modern history.
Wow.
The allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity. So this is clearly prohibited under Twitter's content, yet you found hundreds of these posts on the platform.
They're saying that this movie had a lot of satanic symbolism in it. Now, if you haven't seen this movie already, it's called Leave the World Behind, and it's about America's enemies joining together to take down the country. They do it in a 3-step process: isolation, disable all communication, transportation, leaving people deaf, dumb, and paralyzed; synchronized chaos, which is terrorize them with covert attacks, disinformation, and no clear enemy; third, civil war and collapse. Now, from the start of this movie, you see a blatant 666 right in front of your face, and in the promotional poster, people are saying it says, "I am Baal." Who is Baal? A demon that Christians believe in. He's basically Satan's head demon. Not to mention, this movie was produced by Barack and Michelle Obama. Are people just reaching, or is something big coming?
Yo, forget the NFL and all other distractions. This is the conversation we need to be having right now. This is for entertainment purposes.
I really didn't consider that until you just said that. But my thought about this idea of the military turning on the citizens was always, but the military is citizens.
Exactly.
And many of them are deeply patriotic and unlikely to do something like that. But if they did swap out immigrants,
bingo,
and they did do that, holy shit.
This is exactly.
Then you have a real coup.
This is what spooks me, is that in thinking about the various scenarios 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, I would have said, I fear that somebody's going to issue immoral orders to the military, but I'm convinced that the military will divide over them. that there are those who will carry out immoral orders and there are others who won't.
And at the same time, there's a senator, I think, from Massachusetts that introduced a bill to ban what they call paramilitary training, which is just training with firearms, like to get better at them.
Right.
So the idea is you have a right to keep and bear arms, but you can't be good at them because you can't practice.
So if you imagine, in my naive state a few years ago, the idea was, well, you have a very well-armed populace. You have a military that's likely to be divided about immoral orders. I don't like the sound of that, but I don't think that it's a slam dunk that the tyrants win, because the part of the military that's not going to follow immoral orders and the citizenry that will fight to defend the republic, that's a pretty powerful force. But then you have vaccine mandates, which force out most of the people who are independent-minded from the military. And then you have the idea that migrants might be granted citizenship in exchange for military service.
Giants were petrified after the Great Flood. There are several mountains and islands that seem to look too humanoid to be random formations. There is even a movie called Moana, where there was an island that was a sleeping giant woman. We all know of the story about the Nephilim giants in the Great Flood. People say, if there are giants, why haven't giant bones been recovered? Well, they have, but not mere bones, but entire petrified Nephilim bodies. When these giants were wiped out, they became petrified and are seen all over the world, yet mistaken for mountains and islands. The giants were indeed that huge. The Book of Enoch describes giants as being 450 feet tall. Just so you can put the size of these behemoths into perspective, here is a photo of a man next to a 500-foot statue called the Statue of Unity in India. This statue is around the same size as the actual Nephilim giants, and a full adult male isn't even taller than its toe. These giants were so tall that they could easily be mistaken as a mountain once petrified and vegetation grows around and over them.
Suck it, Jesus! This reward is my God now!
Good evening, godless sodomites.
Kneel before your God, Babylon!
You see, if you go and visit the very home of the Oscars, where they hold it each year, you can see a plaque on the wall that says the Babylonian Court. When you get this little golden statue, you become a star. And see, when an Egyptian king died, it was believed that his spirit went into the belt of Orion, and he then became a star.
But when he intends a thing, he just commands it, be, and at once it is.
This one is called Ptah, the Egyptian god of creation. He is the God who is responsible for the creation of the heavens and the earth. He's a black God.
Next. That could be good, couldn't it? Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration.
I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to thank Satan. I'd like to thank Louis Armstrong. I'd like to thank Neil Young. I'd like to thank the Rollins Band.
I was listening to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. Because I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, but it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
It made me want to go back to Satan worship.
Well, I think
it worked for me. It got me a career.
12 years old, I signed a deal with Satan in my room, and I was to...
CBS doesn't condone this.
Wait a minute. Because I wanted to get famous no matter what, and, then I forgot that I had this deal with Satan and everything, and then I got really famous.
Did I sell my soul? I sold my soul for you. Now, figure that out. Talking about I sold my soul for you. Why the fuck is y'all on here if y'all think I sold my soul? Y'all coming right with me, you dummy.
I have to tell you that if you have not woken up right now, there are many of us who are still asleep and still, on the celebrity worship bandwagon. Right now I'm not listening to any mainstream music. I'd rather listen to reggae, because these mainstream songs and all these things are certain kind of frequencies and vibrations which are not created with good intent. That's why you have things like drill music, murder, which is considered murder music. So like You know, we have to really look at ourselves.
Music is magic. It reprograms your subconscious mind. This is why you remember the lyrics, because it's stored within your subconscious. 90% of your behavior is manifested from the programs within your subconscious. Listening to negative music, you are programming your subconscious mind to manifest negativity. Music is frequency, and frequency is the only thing that can go inside of you without your consent, affecting your cells and your water structure no matter what. Saying positive things has a positive effect on your cells and water. Saying negative things has a negative effect. Music changes your intent, emotional state and thoughts. This is why you become sad when you listen to a slow beat song. We're not meant to be listening to music with choruses. Repetitive beats and loops within music create thought loops within your mind. In nature, everything is transforming. There is no chorus within nature. Our mind should be constantly evoluting. Link is in the bio for the paperback book of wisdom. There is limited stock.
The same thing that happened in Hawaii happened in Chile. Why isn't nobody talking about it? Just pay attention.
That doesn't look normal.
Listen to what she's saying. Look at the caption. The same thing that had happened in Hawaii. That's the same thing somebody else said when the stuff happened in Hawaii. They thought it was a hurricane.
This isn't normal.
This is crazy.
Que necesitamos ayuda, alimento para las mascotas, los útiles, ropa ya, no sé, porque en mi casa perdí todo, perdí todo.
Chile ha decretado el estado de excepción por catástrofe ante la gran...
Check it out. Look just like the footage is from Hawaii, from Maui.
Looks like this is going to come to the mainland on the U.S.
It's all seem familiar, right? They've been using these direct energy machines. This is crazy.
Reality glitches caught on camera.
I just found this ring in a box. I'm like, oh shit, my ring fell off. No, it didn't. It's the same. I'm shaking. It's so weird.
I'm losing my mind right now, and I need someone to tell me if I'm crazy. Have you seen those videos where people are like, I'm stuck in the Matrix, my life is glitching out? Can somebody please explain to me how I'm sitting here doing my little thing, making TikToks, I'm looking on my desk, and I see this. What the hell is this? What is this? Because it looks like it's my nails, right? Girl, I've got all my nails. And I want to specify, this is the first time I have ever had this design. Ever. But that's definitely what that is, right? Even the other side of it looks like when you like rip acrylics off. The girlies know what I mean. Do I just throw this away and act like this never happened? I'm kind of really freaked out right now, but I'm trying to stay calm and like come up with some kind of solution as to why the fuck this would be here. Tell me that's not a nail. Do I need to give this to the government for investigation?
If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's meet on the next video.